Hello everybody, this is Racquel. I'd like to welcome you to Wisdom Wednesday. This is a very exciting experiment for me to show up every Wednesday and see what wants to come through. I get very energized, and as I'm preparing for this presentation, choosing clothes, inviting friends, setting up a spot to be in. At the same time, there are streams of intelligence and energy and a lot of spiritual connection that starts coming in. So I begin to feel a little bit dissembled. Like I'm living in two worlds at one time, or maybe more. So I am breathing. I would invite you to breathe with me. Take some deep breaths, releasing. Let's kind of drop an anchor together. Recognize that we are beings living in these bodies, that we thrive as much as we allow ourselves to embody the totality of who we are. Thriving means being all that we can be and having a full experience in our moments, whether they be experiences that are painful or experiences that are gleeful, joyful, uplifting. Having a full experience of life at any level, at any moment, even as we take our very last breath here, is what thriving is all about. Not about what we have or what we know, but rather how much we can experience. So me showing up here with all these sort of different forces acting in me at one time brings me to exactly what wants to come through for you today. And that is about science and spirit and the convergence of these two forces that have been very oppositional in a lot of ways through history. When Galileo proposed that the earth was not flat, he got thrown in jail by the church. And so, on and on and on through history, there has been a division between our science and our spirituality, and it exists a lot today as well. So last week, what came through is the next evolution in human life, which is happening and needs to happen. And that evolution has to do with the spirit-human convergence, the embodiment of the spirit into the life of the human being. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to that one, you might want to go back and see what was coming through for me on that. It's a very exciting and a very kind of urgent call from Spirit to have us look at this evolutionary step that needs to happen, because we're quite stuck. We're quite polarized, not just in our politics, but we're polarized in a whole bunch of ways from each other through various belief systems and conditioned ways of looking at life. What we think we know is often a prison that keeps us confined into a set of rules and regulations that don't allow for growth and don't allow for expansion, don't even allow for much curiosity, unless the curiosity has to do with what's allowed within the particular structure that we've been taught, that we identify with. So this wisdom that's coming in is coming in not just as an intellectual idea, This wisdom that comes in on these Wednesdays is a combination of spiritual intelligence, intelligence that is arriving in streams of consciousness here from who knows how far away or where it originated or what is trying to communicate and uplift us. It is a combination of that coming through my mind, which is capable of embracing a lot of this, not all of it. And it's also coming in through our lived experience together. So I hope that my Facebook is active. I'm getting a black screen on Facebook. If you'd like to switch over to Instagram, if this isn't working, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, I'll continue because this happened last time and it turned out to be okay in the recorded version of the Facebook. So thank you for bearing with the technology here. So the integration of spirit into the life is what's happening now. It's trying to happen. As we look back at our history as a country, as our history as a global experiment in humanity, we can see that we have separated ourselves spiritually from life. And the joining of these two is requiring a whole new set of skills, a whole new set of ways to listen, a whole new idea of curiosity, a whole new idea especially of what the being is in us. When we look at our being, we often see a spiritual being. We see a being of feeling and emotion, a being of desire, sometimes a being of belief and connection to forces and dimensions that are bigger than we are, that feel distant to us. But as these things converge, we begin to realize that the being itself, this being that lives in this body, is a very rich consciousness. That this being is a consciousness that exists on many levels at one time. We have a way of trying to narrow it, to make ourselves understandable to ourselves. And we, invent a system of science called psychology, for example, which really helps us get tools for living life in a successful way. And we invent sciences that help us figure out our bodies and how to take care of these bodies. Many different kinds of science, some of which resonate with some of us and not others. Other sciences that help us understand what's going on in the body on a physical level. But we are asked to have the science and the spirituality come together. My teacher once said a long time ago, when somebody was talking about science and medicine and afraid to go see a doctor for an illness, and he said, "Where do you think the science came from, if not from creation itself? Where do you think these things come from? Where does inspiration come from? Where do the ideas of even what to study come from? They come from a field of knowing. Even Einstein said in his later years, there must be some organizing force to the universe. It's too perfect. So we the way we live now, in our polarized ways of looking at things. We need to be in conflict with one thing in order to believe in another thing. When we drop out of that and we begin to embrace our ability to meld science and spirituality, we begin to see that they really are one thing, that spiritual engineering is coming in all the time. Spiritual technology is so alive in me right now that when I tune into it, when I look at streams of consciousness and streams of intelligence that are flowing in and even giving me these words, I may fumble over the words a little, but the rich environment that is opening up as I speak them is a vast field of knowing that is offering itself to me and to all of us. All we have to do is learn the language of receiving. We have to learn the language that it's trying to come to us in. So if you take some breaths right now, close your eyes. Feel yourself part of this field of energy with me. Feel the presence of all the intelligence that wishes to come in for us, that wishes to teach us and inform us and expand us, that wishes to know us and offer a knowing of itself to us. In other words, a field of consciousness that wishes to communicate. Feel that as you're breathing, and open your minds as you open your heart. I say heart singular because I can feel that whoever is with me right now and whoever will be coming on here and watching or listening to this, we are of one heart in this moment. Feel this heart of ours opening to infinite potentiality. Feel it opening to all that is possible and way beyond, because we don't really know what's possible. We have a limited idea, and we have no way of expanding beyond it, except maybe some of us have minds that can embrace a bigger picture. As you experience this opening and this connection with this field of energy with me, we're journeying through it. Feel the spiritual technology that is coming in, not for just a few people that we have to listen to, but for all of us. Allow yourself to know that as a being, you are so much bigger than you think you are. You are so much higher, that you are born as a soul that already knows so very much. And this life here as a human is about opening to that which we already know, and which we already are in touch with, or which we already have access to on a greater plane. When I touch into this field with you, I feel us encircled together. I feel us as a circle facing outward, looking in wonder at all that is right on the horizon line, waiting to have an encounter with us. So open your hearts, open your minds to receive. Ask a simple question. The last question that I asked was, is something beautiful only because I have the capacity from somewhere inside myself to perceive beauty? Or is something beautiful in its own right that speaks, that communicates its beauty to me and awakens something in me that recognizes it and fills my heart with beauty and allows me to perceive it as beautiful? Is this symbiosis, this exchange, is it possible that everything is constantly communicating with everything else? Is this experience of life itself a communication? Is my very existence a communication with creation itself? Every thought, every action, every doubt, every awakening, every movement, every breath, is it a communication with aspects of creation? And what is that calling in for me? So feel yourself in this field of infinite potentiality, of availability, of anything you could possibly want to know. Ask a question and open to receive. Know that this may not come in as words, that it may come in as a feeling. Its language may not be English, it may be colors. It may communicate directly with your heart, with your body. So let go of your need to know and allow yourself just to receive. Receive. Open. There, here it comes. We are part of a vast network of planets and galaxies full of life. Do they look like us? Do they talk like us? Are they a they? Is a planet a being in itself? Open your heart. Are we part of a vast ecosystem of creation that exists simultaneously in many, many places? And are these streams of information and intelligence coming to us from galaxies way, way far away, and yet right here at the same time? Am I, as a being, coexisting with myself someplace else? Feel your beingness. Feel the being inside you as you dare to ask questions, vibrating and alive. Feel the being in you excited to connect with something more than the mundane life, with some much higher knowing of all that is and all that is going on outside of our material world and our time and space continuum, outside of our small beliefs of how things work. Our science has been co-developed with us over time to give us a way to look at how things work on this planet, how things work. From the micro infinitesimal discoveries that are being made of our biological processes and the processes on the earth to the macro science of our galaxies and our space. Our science is really good at that, and it's getting better. It's evolving all the time. Our spirituality is also evolving from a primitive belief system to an all-encompassing knowing of beingness, rather than a belief system that is an integration of communication with all there is. It is a surrender, a clearing of the old to make way for the new. Our spirituality is now becoming a recognition of energetics, of light beings, of higher spiritual beings that exist in our own orbits, in our lives. Our spirituality is opening in the most beautiful ways and scary ways. Our spirituality, as it evolves, is asking us to learn how to clear ourselves so we can be in inquiry, so that our hearts can love fully and receive love fully, so that we can listen to each other deeply, more than just words, but hearts. So as these two streams of human consciousness, spirituality and science, are evolving, they begin to come together. Ask any quantum physicist about energy fields and they will begin speaking for 2 weeks straight. They seek to find proof of the existence of these things, and that's beautiful. And it expands their knowing into fields of inquiry that touch into our hearts and give us resonance to recognize that we are all energy beings. And sooner or later, we come to that question of why do we care? Why are we curious? Why are we always reaching for higher knowing? What is it that is working within us? What is always spurring us on to open to greater and greater knowing? Where does that come from? If not from the ephemeral, unseen, and so far unknowable universe of God. God and science are not separate. And the true thing is that when we begin to understand that and to embrace it, that is when we can truly integrate the human and spiritual experience. That is when we can truly know ourselves as powerful, awesome beings with potentialities that exist far from what we can imagine right now. Our science is limited, but when it opens into the streams of consciousness that are coming through right in this moment, that hopefully you're all feeling right now and experiencing right now, when that opens, we become able to not just think through our human minds, but to think through the minds of our souls, our spirits. And that is where the major problems that humans are facing today will be answered. That is where love grows to be more than an emotional experience. It grows to be that which created creation here. Love is that which knows. Love is that which seeks only to add to itself. And we as humans might wonder, why am I always working to experience growth, to get better, to experience more, to feel more? And that is because the mind of your spirit is active and understands the science and technology of spirit. Thank you very, very much for receiving this. Let's take a couple of more breaths into this beautiful field of energy that we have created together. Recognize once more in this moment that all is available to us if we just open to it without having to know what it is first. Lots of love to all of you. May you thrive in your beingness, and I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you.